Hi, good novelists. Welcome back to this episode of GoodNovel Academy. Today, we carry on our discussion on character design. First, let me proudly introduce you our new host, Crystal. Hooray!
Hi there, Crystal reporting.
Before you ask where is Sissy, don't worry, he's still on board. You see, we have recently expanded our crew, and now we got two more hosts, who is Crystal and Alex. We will form groups of two and take turns to host the program, so you should expect to hear from Sissy and Alex co-hosting in the next episode.
So we have talked about one simple strategy to build more convincing characters, back their actions with motivations. You made the focus of today's episode, right? What's the topic? Character arc, Erica?
Yes, but we shall not drag you into these abstract theories of creative writing. As always, we offer only practical suggestions with one simple objective in mind, to drain your readers' pockets.
Very realistic. And trust us, as web fiction editors, we're the experts in draining pockets. We have analyzed the bestsellers on our platform. And yes, after so many restless nights and painful struggles, we have found it, the ultimate formula of a bestseller.
Wow, that's a bit dramatic, but I like how you put it. We do got a few tips at hand, not precisely the ultimate formula, but indeed some very practical suggestions to make your story more appealing. Mind to read the first tip out, Crystal?
My pleasure. The first tip, bang bang bang, is want to write an attractive female lead? Focus on the female growth.
Okay, female growth. I have heard this collocation multiple times. Guess it's also the case for your guys. But still, I guess we need a little clarification. What is growth, first of all?
Well, growth is the upward force, the positive transition. Just like a plant trying to get out of gravity in its life journey, trying to get close to the sun and the sky.
Crystal, I think we are talking about characters rather than plants.
I know, I'm getting to it. In your journeys throughout the story, your character will grow too. Such growth can be seen as a positive change in a character's social status, financial situations, ideological awareness, inner strength, or sometimes magic power in fantasy.
So it's the same thing as the character arc.
Yes, character arc, character's development, character's growth, all the same thing.
Why do we need to display this growth in our story? Or to say, why is this character arc important in storytelling?
Well, simply put, readers like to read stories with growing protagonists. If you look back at old movies and novels, you will find that the growth of the protagonist almost determines the popular evaluation of these works. The successful characters like Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, Jane Eyre in Jane Eyre, Jenny in An Education, Julie in Flipped, they all experience a clear path of growth. They strived, they lost, they struggled, they changed, then they did it. On the contrary, some fictions fail to be intriguing only because their characters stay the same from beginning to the end, just virtual cardboard castles.
Would you give me some examples of growth, like how exactly such protagonists grow in the stories?
Sure, let's look into the classics first. In Gone with the Wind, the protagonist Scarlett is a free-spirited, willful woman in the Old South when America was then in a civil war. However, her modern spirit, her lusts, her headstrong passions, her pursuit for freedom without fear of the world, was not released from the beginning, but was repulsively concealed under the restraint of women in that era. Under this cover, her pure desire for love and a better life made her look greedy, cunning, and corrupt.
Well, she did marry 3 times with different men and ran a wood factory to do business in public, which is fairly injurious to morals in that social environment.
Yes, and it was not until she met Red, a soul that saw freedom like her, that her nature was gradually released with its recognition.
But in the end, Scarlett lost the Red because of some, complex reasons.
Yeah, Red left her after their daughter died. I think maybe this is because Scarlett's love for him came so late that Red had transferred all his love to their child. He once said to Scarlett, "She's so like you, so carefree, willful, fearless."
The loss of this child must have hit them hard.
Definitely. It's also a heavy hit for Scarlett to lose Red. But after all this, she did not swat it down, but said a famous line, "Tomorrow is another day."
Wow, she's indeed a strong, optimistic woman, isn't it?
Yes, from the first naive, spoiled girl to the last independent woman who can pick the beam, Scarlett really changed a lot.
Yeah, now I can see her growth. It's quite obvious and heart-shaking.
However, not all the character growth is so inward and delicate. More often, it's fairly simple and rough, like get rich.
Like Janaya, she finally inherited a large legacy.
Yes, being rich is a very important reason for her to finally get married to Mr. Rochester, for class equality was highly valued at that time. But the growth of Jane Eyre is far more complicated. Initially, she is a shy and introverted girl, but gradually she became confident and free.
This reminds me of Bella in the Twilight series, who finally turned vampire to marry Edward. Being a vampire means she gained power, speed, and eternal life, and this removed her barriers of being a fragile woman to be with Edward.
Yes, equality and balance of power are always important in romance.
Yeah, so generally, the protagonist begins the story as one person, and then she transforms, grows, or changes throughout, and ends the story as a different sort of person.
Yeah, readers like to see this transformation happen.
Yeah, transformation. That's the golden rule for writing a good story. Okay, so our next question is, how do we write growth in our story?
Well, simple. All you need is to give your characters two goals, one initial goal and one hidden goal. Your protagonist should start with the initial goal, one she has long been aware of and eager to achieve. But all the way along the journey to accomplish the goal, she gradually realizes another goal, her deeper inner subconscious unperceived desire, which is often contradictory to her original objective. This will inevitably lead to confusion, hesitation, and even pain. But eventually, she will listen to her inner call and meet her true mission. With this transformation, you complete the character's arc.
Would you give me an example of how to write the two goals? I mean, the initial and the inner goal.
We can take the film On Education, for example. Jenny, a bright, straight-A schoolgirl, quit school after a rich man David seduced her and promised her a luxurious life.
That's bold. Why would she do that?
Well, she wants to live a better life. That's her initial goal, one that she has been attempting to achieve. Her ladder to achieving that goal at first is getting into a top university, but marrying a rich guy is apparently the shortcut.
Reasonable. So what happens next? Things can't be that easy.
Yeah, of course it can't. She soon found that David had been cheated on her, and he was already married. After the scumbag man's deception and experience of the empty, extravagant life, Jenny realized her inner unperceived goal, which is to be independent and able to control her own life, but not simply being rich. Then she returned to school and finally got an offer from Oxford.
So the arc is the transformation of this girl, from her initial objective of getting rich to the revelation of her inner desire of getting independent.
Yes, and self-awareness is always hard. In such transformation, there will be conflicts, hard times, many unlucky incidents compelling her to change her original goal and step onto another track. And when the transformation is complete, we see a character arc accomplished and the growth happening.
Thank you, Crystal. That's a very good example. Okay, we have learned about growth, which is character arc. We have seen that good stories often feature the growth of the protagonist, and to display their growth, give the protagonist two goals, which is initial goal and inner goal at the beginning of the story. So, in their struggle to fulfill their initial goal, they will gradually realize what they really want, and this realization will form the curve of their development. Now, let's talk about the female part. Why do you think we should highlight that?
Well, a simple answer to this is that GoodNovel is mainly a female-oriented platform. As you can see, our bestsellers are all romance stories. CEO, Mafia, Shapeshifters. Love them or not, these genres are the market's pick. Moreover, more than 70% of our readers are girls, and more than 90% of the stories on our platform feature a female lead. So when we talk about character growth, we are actually talking about female growth for most cases. That's one thing. Another reason we highlight the female part is that the way of depicting a female protagonist growth is kinda different from the males. Well, that is your expertise, Harry. Can you elaborate a bit on how the system works in the boys' world?
All right. So, when we talk about male-oriented stories, we are referring to stories that feature a male protagonist. Genres like high fantasies, mysterious, horrors, adventures, games, these genres are mostly loved by males. I got no offense to the female fantasy and adventure lovers, just stating the fact statistically. Such stories usually feature the growth of the male protagonist who follows the tradition of historical and mythical heroes. Oh, that's adventure, that's defeat the enemy, that's save the world, that's rescue the prison princess. Our conquest is the sea of stars.
Okay, I see your passion in this. Calm down. Back to the topic. What's the difference between male and female growth?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. In male-oriented stories, the growth of the male lead is mainly through his own efforts. For example, the charismatic Charlie Wade. You must know that book, right? That's the most popular and profiting story on our platform, featuring the growth of the male protagonist Charlie Wade. He is belittled by all his family members and everyone around him, but with his wisdom and strength, he shames the shit out of them. In this story, all characters other than Charlie Wade are purely functional, whose purpose of existence is mainly to create obstacles for the male lead and push forward the story. This is quite different from female growth. From my experience of reading and from the examples you have raised, male leads often play a very important role in the female's growth.
Yeah, that's true. In the case of Jane Eyre, her growth is built on her love for Mr. Rochester. In the case of Bella, her growth into a strong vampire is largely due to her relationship with Edward. In the core of all successful romance stories, there is love. In writing a romance story, if you want to make your female protagonist suffer, let it be love. You want to earn some pity points for your protagonist? Good, let her boyfriend abandon her. You want to let her grow and transform into a stronger woman? Sure, make her fall in love and let this relationship reshape her.
Truly. The romance stories on our site almost all feature a female lead. Female lead was hurt by surrounding people, but not her beloved one. So, I'm thinking, why not do something different? Why not just let the girl be hurt by her lover and then change spiritually to something stronger, to a stronger woman? And her old lover maybe go back to her, but only find that everything is different. That's a good way to improve things. So, you know how to improve your romance story now. Focus on female growth. Let's say the transformation of the female protagonist, that's your primary mission. And get ready preparing your protagonist's two goals to accomplish the character arc. Last but not the least, don't forget the romance elements in your story.
Yep, and that is all for today. Enjoy writing, dear good novelists, and may the muse be with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do you think about me?